Hey, Jasen Rice here. Lotpop going to do a little bit of a lot party tip this way. Um, one of the things I like to talk about is the trends that we see as we help dealers with their used car operations. And I'm going to be keeping an eye over here, but on the comments, just in case anybody comments below. But the trends that we see with used car operations, trying to help dealers out there, stay ahead of things. And I mentioned in April, things tend to slow down a little bit in April, second half. But then May and June is really where we start seeing a traditional slowdown. So I'm gonna back this up with some data again, what we traditionally see. Now I say traditionally because I'm bringing up the fact that right now used cars is really strong. The economy is really good. There's just a new job release that just went out in the news. So things are moving well. So I think the job increases was the best in 40-something years. So, everything I'm talking about right here could be skewed by things in the economy and other things. But I can look at data back 6 years. And so I'm going to go over those trends that we've seen happen over the last 6 years. I can't predict, obviously, what's going on in the future, but I could kind of give you a sense of what's going on right now with dealers that we see across the board, from independents to highline stores to franchise dealers to across the country. So traditionally, and I talk about this a lot, but I'm going to continue to bring it up. We look at like shopper count activity. Auto Trader, in the back end of Auto Trader, you can look at shopper count, and what you'll see, and if you actually track or trend out that data, put a little graph to it, you'll see January, February, March shopper counts are typically really high. They're the highest. Usually March or February will pull in the highest shopper count in the market. Then what you'll see is anywhere from a 5 to 10% drop of shopper counts going into April, and then you'll see another 5 to 10% drop in March to April shopper counts. Sometimes some markets, March is about the same as April. The other thing that we're talking about with a lot of dealers is seems like everything's a month different. Like our April was more of a May or March type numbers of last year. So everybody's kind of a month off. But what we're seeing in trends right now is what we've seen over the last 5 and 6 years as we've been tracking out this data. Shopper counts in May are going to be about the same, or probably anywhere from 5 to 10% less than April. And so May and June become softer months when it comes to shopping. Now, at your store could be different, and I say that because depending on what you're doing with your advertising dollars, if you do a big, mailer and things like that, or promotions and advertising, and double down on your ad spend and stuff, then your traffic can be different. But as you look as a market as the whole, May and June are going to bring in lower shopper counts. The other thing that's going to happen is dealers' inventory starts slowing down, and so less buyers at the lane, and you're going to see wholesale values dropping down. So you should be able to start buying better. I think I've seen a headline this week or the end of last week that wholesale is already starting to drop. The spring spike is over. So you should start in the next week or two start being able to buy better. So that's good. You might be able to buy 2 to 3% better. The downside is it's going to be slower. So you might have to price 2 to 3% more aggressive to keep the traffic flowing. So here's the catch. The first couple weeks of May is, if you want to keep your volume going and you want to keep that inventory flowing, you're going to take a pinch in your gross. And here's why, is because you paid up in April and a little bit now, but a lot of April, everything that's 30, 40, 50 days old right now that's starting to bleed through your inventory and starting to age, those cars you paid up for. There were cars you bought in March and cars you bought in April when the market was really strong. And in April, there was a hangover. You go to the lane to buy, a lot of those dollars were high because of what happened in March. So these cars that are almost anywhere from 30 to 60 days old, you paid up for. Well, if May is slow, you got to get real aggressive with your pricing to get the things moving. You're going to have that pinch and gross on those cars. Just understand that. But hopefully, if you're clean and you're able to be buying because you want to continue to be selling and increasing your volume, you should be able to start buying better. And then the second half of May going into June, you'll be able to make money on some cars where guys that have been sitting on inventory and don't want to dump them and didn't want to take the hits at the beginning of May and throughout May, they're going to be losing money. So you should be able to be more competitive against those dealers. You'll be able to buy a car, price it competitively, make some money, while that guy, if he's trying to match your pricing, is going to lose money to do it. And this is, again, why it's real important to keep your inventory clean. You always want to be a buyer at current market positions. And if you're stuck in a bunch of age and things are slowing down, you can't buy or won't buy because you don't have the need to yet, you're going to be missing out on that opportunity. So this is what, again, to expect for May. May, I would say, especially if it's starting out slow, it's only 3 days deep. We'll know better next week, this time next week, how May's actually panning out. But if it's slower, and we're seeing that at a lot of dealers, we're getting some good numbers because a lot of our dealers, again, they carry what they sell or sell what they carry. A lot of our stores, we've slimmed them down. We have stores that typically carry 220 cars. Well, in April, they're down to 170s. And going into May, we're going to keep it slim. And so they're about 50 cars light. So their sales will be a little bit light. But those 170, that they're carrying, they're still pushing 200 or so. So if you go in being a little bit slimmer going into May and June, and by mid-June, start building back up because July, August, summer selling season happens. A lot of new car activities happen in there. I would say in July, August, though, stay away from late models, 18s and stuff, because you're going to be competing against new car summer sales events and stuff. So, just watch how your inventory is flowing from this May. It's going to be tight. Drop your prices if you have to keep your inventory flowing. Stay ahead. Keep your inventory pushing. You're going to take a gross hit because of what you end up paying for these cars. These 30 to 60 cars you paid in March and April, high dollars for them. And a lot of guys will say, I can't go to the lane and replace it for that kind of money. Well, what's your goal then? Not to sell the car? We don't have a museum. We have a dealership. We want to sell these cars, get off of them, invest that money into something better then. And so clean, you should be able to be buying in the next few weeks a lot better. It can be upwards of 1, 2, 3% better, but you're going to have to probably price 1, 2, 3% better. You can't price in May and June like you did in March, February, March, and maybe a little bit in April. You're probably going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. I say that again, like going back to the beginning, I can't predict the future. Economy's running good, job market's going good. So used cars is picking up. It's getting the attention away from new. And so I could be wrong, but this is what we see in trends over the last 5-6 years. And we're kind of getting that feedback already. Again, it's only the 3rd of May. We'll know more going into next week. I hope this was helpful. I want to help you guys stay ahead of your inventory trends. If you want an inventory free evaluation, just go to lotpop.com, fill out a form. We do demos, but in our demos, we also give you things that you could take away regardless if you get our services or not. I also have these wristbands that I've been promoting, first 30, because again, your gross profit's made in the first 30 days. You want to turn that inventory in that first 30 days, but that means if you can get 60 to 70% of your sales in the first 30 days, you're not going to have a gross problem. Your gross would be really strong. But in order to do that, you have to have 60 to 70% of your inventory in the first 30 days. So these wristbands, I'll send out to anybody for free. I'll pay for the shipping. Don't matter. First 30, put it on your management team or anybody helping with managing that inventory, and they can wear it every day. Just keep them in check to make sure they're focusing on getting that first 30 rolling. Rice at lotpop.com. Hopefully this is helpful. Get you another video out next week sometime.